Let's be honest. Nothing frustrates a gardener more than soil that looks rich but behaves lifeless. You water, you fertilize, you add compost, yet your plants just sit there, weak and pale. It's not your seeds and it's not your tools. The problem runs deeper, right into the biology of your soil. What's missing isn't more nitrogen or phosphorus. It's something far more foundational: humic substances, the dark, carbon-rich compounds that breathe life back into dead dirt. This guide will dig deep into what they are, why they matter, and how you can bring them back into your garden soil for results you can actually see within weeks. Most gardeners don't realize that soil death begins at the microbial level. When soil is dead, what's really gone is the microbial life, the bacteria, fungi and microfauna that break down organic matter and make nutrients plant accessible. You know, the overuse of chemical fertilizers, tilling and pesticide residues really do strip away the organic carbon that microbes depend on. Without this carbon buffet, soil biology just collapses and nutrients remain locked up, no matter how much compost or NPK you add. Humic substances, especially humic acid and fulvic acid, are, well, the missing link that reactivates these life processes. They form naturally during the slow decomposition of plant and animal matter, creating a stable carbon matrix that microbes just thrive in. When reintroduced into depleted soil, these compounds literally switch on the soil food web again. Now, think of humic substances as the bridge between dead minerals and living plants. Humic acid, you see, binds to soil particles, which really helps improve structure, aeration, and, well, moisture retention. Fulvic acid, being the smaller molecule, acts as a powerful chelator. It binds to trace minerals like iron, zinc and magnesium, and, you know, delivers them right into plant cells. So, here's what happens in practical terms. Within 2 to 3 weeks of applying humic acids, gardeners often notice improved root growth and, honestly, darker leaf colour. That's not a placebo. Humic and fulvic acids, you know, they enhance cation exchange capacity, often called CEC, which is really just the soil's ability to hold onto and swap nutrients with plant roots. When you've got high CEC, suddenly your fertilizer finally starts working the way it should, even if you're dealing with compacted or sandy soils. For example, if you've got a raised bed that's gone a bit sterile from too much chemical feeding, just a single treatment of 5 millilitres of liquid humic acid per litre of water, applied as a soil drench every 2 weeks, can really trigger visible recovery. The soil gets back its lovely earthy smell, and before long plants start showing stronger root tips and, well, noticeably improved vigour. Humic acids can be sourced from lenodite, lignite or peat, but not all sources are, you know, equally effective. Lenodite, a soft oxidized form of lignite, is widely considered the gold standard since it contains the highest concentration of active humic compounds. For gardeners who prefer organic roots, aged compost and vermicompost teas also release smaller amounts of humic and fulvic acids naturally, though at a slower pace. If you're working with severely depleted soil, Combining both natural and concentrated sources can speed recovery. Here's a simple ratio that works well for raised beds or garden plots. Mix 20 millilitres of liquid humic acid concentrate per 10 litres of irrigation water and apply evenly to about 2 square metres of soil. Repeat this weekly for the first month, then shift to a monthly maintenance schedule. For compost teas, you'll want to add about 2 tablespoons of humic powder per 20 litres of brew. Then aerate it for a full 24 hours and use the mixture as a root drench. It's really quite simple and very effective. Start by loosening the top 10 to 15 centimetres of your soil. Compaction, you see, suffocates microbes and limits the penetration of humic compounds. So it's definitely worth taking the time to get this step right. Once the soil is loosened, apply your humic acid solution evenly across the bed. Then follow immediately with a light watering to help the humic substances seep into the root zone. This step, honestly, makes a world of difference. After the first treatment, it's really important to hold off on synthetic fertilizers for about 2 weeks. This gives the microbes and humic acids a bit of time to rebuild those natural nutrient pathways in your soil. You can, however, top dress with compost or worm castings during this time. These actually work synergistically, feeding the very microbes that the humic acids are awakening. By week 3 or 4, you'll likely start to notice better moisture retention and a more crumbly soil texture. That's really the humic matrix at work, binding those fine clay particles into aggregates that help trap both air and water. Now, if your goal is to grow heavy feeders like tomatoes or peppers, you'll want to reintroduce a mild fertilizer, but only after you've rebuilt the biological base. Otherwise, those chemical salts can, well, undo all your progress. A Hydra Haven community gardener in Kitale, Kenya, reported reclaiming a 1 square metre patch of sandy soil that previously just couldn't sustain kale. Using a blend of humic acid and compost tea, she applied 25 millilitres of humic acid concentrate per 10 litres of water each week for a month, and then mulched with dry grass. Within 6 weeks, the soil colour had darkened visibly, earthworms reappeared, and kale seedlings reached maturity with, well, only minimal fertiliser input. That's the quiet power of humic substances. They don't just feed the plants, they rebuild the soil system itself. The beauty of humic substances is their persistence. Unlike quick-fix fertilizers, humic molecules stay in the soil for years, continually improving structure and buffering pH swings. They reduce nutrient leaching, meaning every gram of fertilizer you apply later goes further. Over time, this translates into lower input costs, better yields, and truly self-sustaining soil health. Experienced growers often say that once you start using humic compounds, your garden enters a new rhythm. Watering becomes easier, plants resist stress better, and compost breaks down faster. This isn't magic, it's just biology restored to balance. If your garden feels tired, don't rush to add more fertilizer. What you likely need is to reintroduce carbon in the form of humic and fulvic acids. They are the forgotten ingredient that turns inert dirt back into a living ecosystem. Try it in one section of your garden first. Track your results. Once you see how quickly your soil rebounds, you'll never garden without humic support again. If this guide helped you understand how to bring your soil back to life, make sure to subscribe to Hydrohaven for more science-based gardening insights. Share this with a fellow grower struggling with poor soil. Because honestly, healthy soil is the foundation of every thriving garden.